Well, good morning, and thank you, President Moorhead, for that very kind introduction. And it's still a proud alumnus of the University of Georgia, and I'm happy to be here with you all this morning, where we enjoy a wonderful partnership. Prior to introduction of President Moorhead, Peter said they were waiting on the voice of God. I said, it hadn't gotten that bad, has it? But anyway, we found her and got going. But good morning to you all. I see that we were laughing about the seating arrangement this morning, where you all are pretty smart PhDs and academics. You sit closer to the food rather than to the speaker. So we were trying to determine how to correct that this morning rather than asking you all to move up. I had an idea. I'm going to call Sonny Swami up here. He has his checkbook with us this morning, so we're going to give out NIFA grants for those on a first-come, first-served basis this morning. So, Sonny, if you'll come on up, we'll get out some of those checks this morning. So, don't rush, okay? Well, it's a privilege to be here with you this morning because of the partnership that we enjoy, and you all know that. I looked a little bit at your theme, and while this is a great opportunity and great job that I have, I don't know that I would want to swap with many of you, because I saw your theme today began with disruption. And when I look at the campuses across the country and what's happening on the campuses today, I think that's probably an appropriate theme from an academic perspective, is disruption. But further in moving on, obviously, we need to turn that constitutional disruption into productivity and the things that you all do well in the land grant community across the country. As you know, it's been a long-term relationship ever since Congressman Morrill, way back in the 1800s, had the idea of what the mission for these land grant universities should be. And I think, again, while some may challenge some of the things you're doing, I think the mission area that you have of education, research, and service is alive and well, and should remain so. I think in these challenging times, I don't necessarily think they rise to disruption in our relationship, but in these challenging times of frugality and other things, how do we maintain that mission? I frankly am a huge admirer of the land grant mission and the way it's delivered. I've actually had the opportunity to tell President Trump, when they was bemoaning the manufacturing sector, the loss of jobs, the trade deficits between the U.S. and Mexico and auto parts, I told him this one day. I said, when we look at the productivity that you all have helped to generate in the agricultural sector over these same number of years, I said, Mr. President, I truly believe if we'd had the same level of basic research, applied research, and a delivery system like the Extension Service, I don't think we'd be talking about the demise of American manufacturing today. And I believe that. I think you all are part and parcel of that and have a challenging mission as feeding the world will get more and more challenging in the future. We were talking here at the table this morning about some ideas globally and, frankly, some things I consider a little bit of hypocrisy worldwide when we think about a growing population, possibly 9 billion people by 2050, and what it will take to feed that kind of population. And then we're still using issues of scientific protectionism in other areas of the world that don't like this and don't like that, where I'm happy that we're in the United States of America with, I think, a food security situation unlike any other country, with the safest, most nutritious food and healthiest that we could enjoy. I couldn't help myself in the UK a few weeks ago. The UK is known to disparage our food here, particularly our poultry. One of the things I like to say is, our chicken is bathed in chlorine, and therefore they don't want their citizens to have our poultry bathed in chlorine. You all in the business may know that that's not really a process that's used any longer. There are other antimicrobial processes that are used. And I indicated to them, I said, well, it's very interesting that you say that. Shall we compare the data on foodborne outbreaks, U.S. versus U.K.? They didn't want to talk about that. And also said, well, one other thing, you talk about our chickens being bathed in chlorine, which is not really true any longer, but tell me one thing. These salads that you all harvest over here and take to your tables, what do you bathe those in? They had to hang their head and say chlorine. So these are the kind of things that we are dealing with worldwide while you are advancing productivity with your education, with your research, and with your service. No longer can we take these things for granted. We've got to be great communicators of the great miracle of American agriculture in so many ways, and that's what we hope to do around the world. I want to talk to her just a moment about the partnership that we enjoy and how that works, and maybe my thinking along the relationship of USDA along with our land grant, all three categories of land grant universities in every way. And I know we've got some non-land grant universities here, and I appreciate the role that all of you in the realm of education have, particularly as I speak to the partnership in land grant and our relationship with ARS and our relationship with REE. How do we respond to one another? I want to challenge you this morning. I want to exhort to you. I know that state budgets have been under pressure actually since the recession, but I know that Georgia has recovered, and while I'm famous for growing a $20 billion budget to $16 billion in 2003 to 2011, those budgets have recovered these days, and I know that you have your people all over advocating for the need and for that share of the university and academic portion of higher education in that regard. Nonetheless, many of those money has not come back in many states like that. And while we hear about coming to the federal government, their budgetary challenges here, we are in a doing more with less realm, but we got to be careful at tipping point that we don't do less with less. So I want to tell you today in the partnership, I got some friends here from Georgia, some who served in the legislature and some who've watched my service there in those 2003 to 2011 great economic years that I served as governor. We had 5 budgets where we literally had less money than the year before. And so you have to manage well in those areas, and you have to make sure that you're getting the most for your money in that regard. So in looking at the federal budgets, looking at the state budgets, looking at your own budgets, I'm going to be looking at the contribution of the share of what the federal government has done in relationship to what your states are doing. And you may need to take these back to your state legislators and state governors and let them know that we want to be partners, but we don't want to be the senior partner, if you understand what I'm saying. We want to be helpful. I'm a skin in the game kind of guy. I think it works better when we all contribute to the mission, and I believe in the mission. I'm a believer. I'm a product of the mission. Dr. Moorhead didn't go into it, but actually after my veterinary education there, I went into agribusiness. So my customers were the product of the information, the research, and the applied research and the extension service there for my farm customers in agribusiness over my whole career. So I've seen the benefit of it. It's fascinating what the productivity increases that we're seeing. This year, many farmers were complaining about our National Statistical Service and how they were getting the corn crop so wrong early in the year in the first report. They were talking about it being overstated, it was harmful to the markets, and they were really fussing about it. This latest report last week shows that our NASS people were a lot closer than the farmers there over reporting those crops. So even in a less than ideal weather year, our yields continue to go up. That's why there's so much pressure on international trade. We've got the most productive group of producers in the world, and we've got to learn how to trade them. That's why we're going all over the world. That's why we chose an Undersecretary of Trade for that mission area and Ted McKinney from Indiana to go make these calls all over the world where we can save this, where we can sell this abundant crop that you all have helped be a part of through research, applied, and extension service of helping our people know how to do more with really less inputs. And that's a interesting thing. As we look at research, the real theme is how do we become more productive with less inputs. And I was at the Farm Progress Show in Illinois this past summer. The kind of things that are coming with precision agriculture are just phenomenal, not only in the genetic area, but in the placement area. This was a field, experimental field, where it was WAS-enabled, meaning having GPS with corrective technology down to precision of sub-inch precision. What they were showing me, an autonomous tractor there could rip through the field, place the fertilizer just there, allow the winter thawing and freezing to cure that soil up. Coming back in the spring with that autonomous planter within that same 3/4 of an inch there, putting the seed right over that, having a good root zone to send those roots down deep, right over the fertilizer that was placed. And the results were using half of the fertilizer with a 20 bushel per yield increase. Those are the kind of things that are coming here that you all are helping to design and helping to research and helping to extension the information out there, that we've got to be better at our trade of selling this abundant crop all over. As you know, the challenge of the population boom that's coming, we believe there will be demand, but we've got to use everything in our resources to do that. So the partnership that we've enjoyed, I think, is alive and well. I think hopefully you all recognize that, but let me just be really clear today. If your state legislatures move back from appropriations 1 step, 2 steps back, don't expect us to move 2 steps forward in the replacement of those kind of funds. We're going to be looking at those state budgets, honestly, and I tell you that today so you presidents and you deans can go back and tell your legislators that no longer can they depend on the federal government to just totally replace any kind of funds that were lost through the local appropriation process. So I know that you all work every day. Your challenges of a president in so many ways is fundraising from private donors, and I know all of your percentages of private money has increased in virtually every school, and that will continue to be the case. But I want to make sure that your state legislators and the governors of all these states understand that the federal government is not in a position to step forward 2 steps if they take 2 steps backward. A good partnership means coming together to meet in the middle and to do what each of our responsibilities are. So I don't want that to sound ominous warning. I think it's just reality about where we are with the federal budget. I don't think any of you nor I really relish the fact of kicking a $20 trillion debt down to our grandchildren. If we're going to be really moral and ethical about it, I think we've got to resolve this in our lifetime and get a handle on it, and that means using all of our resources, both federal, state, local, very wisely in how we do what we do. Your jobs are awesome, they are needed, and they are appreciated, and we want to be partners with you as we go forward in capacity building through the Extension Service and engaging with our youth of America. That's what really gives me inspiration as I go around to your institutions and meet with your students, meet with the 4-H kids, and meet with the FFA kids in this arena. I think the future is very bright for them. Obviously, looking at them among the tables here today, you can see that they've got a lot more runway ahead of them than we do, and so that's inspiring, really, because there's some bright young people that you're helping to train in specific areas. They may be. I mean, we may have the next Norman Borlaug in our midst right now. I told that to the 65,000 FFA students at their convention in Indianapolis a few weeks ago, and that's what we're looking for. With the challenges of people needing to eat and eliminating world hunger is ever present with us, and it's very fragile, as you know. Right now, we have a world abundance of stocks, but those are really the beneficiary of 4 or 5 great growing seasons, really worldwide. That doesn't happen very often, and it won't happen forever either. And we need to be prepared with the best science, the best education, and the best research, and the best delivery system of the Extension Service. I think what the land grants and what happened back in the Smith-Lever Act over the Extension Service is one of the most productive things we've ever done. But getting those ideas and getting those creative and innovative ideas out of your institutions, out into the field. I do believe that many farmers are the most progressive, early adopters there. They want this. They're interested in how they can do better and be more productive in their own areas, and you all provide them that information with that wonderful delivery service. So we are very much proponents of what you do, and I want the USDA to continue to be a good partner. And I think as you go back, I'll give you some, have given you some ammunition you can take back to your legislators and tell them what the message I've given today is, that we want to be good partners, but we're not going to be the senior partner here in this arena of educating and research and delivery of those services in the mission areas in which you serve. I'm a big believer in that mission of what you have, and it's challenging more and more every day. You have challenges from admissions to managing campuses, to some of you in major states managing the football team and the athletic department. Those are great challenges. I was telling President Moorhead, his messages in the first week of every week during football season rise and fall over whether the Dogs won or lost. So we understand how that works, and you all have to manage that. But you got a big challenge ahead, and it's a big deal. I don't want to make it seem small what you do for America, and I think the president is aware of. He's very much focused on the American economy. He's very much aware of what agriculture and agricultural productivity and what your schools do in contributing to that productivity across America. So I want to thank you for what you do in that area of training those future of America. As I said, it inspires me every time I'm around young people, their brightness, and we need to call out and challenge them to be the next Norman Borlaugs of the world, who make a real difference. And thinking and lying in that at the end of your life, thinking about the difference that you made here. You're making a difference in the lives of young people and not so young people across the world as you help in the mission that you have in the land-grant universities. We want to be your partners. We've been your partners. We want to continue to be your partners. Let's have a balanced partnership that we both can enjoy and feel like we're both getting a good deal. Isn't that what it's all about? Thank you all very much.